Hello, everybody. Welcome, one and all, to another NX Tuesday with your hostess for the night, Sabrina Stella, the wrestling doll, the unofficial camera woman, the one of many names, as Mike Knox was before. Now, normally I'm joined with the great grandson Pooba, but tonight I am joined with someone who is very familiar with working with Ron, as well as working with other people here on our program. The lovely Evil Dose is in the building.
Thank you for that introduction. I'm feeling especially lovely. Obviously, we both dressed for the occasion. And, Ron is the most beautiful man at UPR, but I try to do the best I can. So, listen, I like that whole getup there. Very superhero-ish, bulletproof, looking tough, looking strong.
That's part of his gimmick. He is a tough-ass MMA style wrestler who drops warheads on people's foreheads. That's his tagline.
Are you talking about bulletproof Blake Trope?
Yep.
Or Troop?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, everyone knows that I am a hardcore fan here at Unpopular Review. I'm just a longtime casual fan that's turned into a hardcore fan. So yeah, but NXT, NXT was delightful.
Yeah, it was delightful, especially for this person right here. Hi, Ron. He was just so upset that no one signed JC's Get Well card. Well, honey, that's what happens when you're one of the most hated women in the locker room from all the bullshit that you do. So that's not our fault. We know if you were there, you would have been the one to make the biggest signature in there possible.
I hear the Gallows boys signed it off screen.
Yeah, I don't think that was going to make him feel any happier about that. Hi, George. Usually one of our first to make comments before the show even starts, because that's just how much he loves the NXT crew.
What's not to love?
I don't know. Why don't you ask EC when he comes on the air with me and I disagree with everything that he says, except for the last 30 minutes of the last time we were together?
That's his gimmick, is to disagree with everything that somebody says.
I know. That's why it's fun to go at it with him.
All right. Enjoy.
Oh, I do. I've been enjoying that for nearly 3 years now. I'll keep enjoying it.
All right, we got from wherever he damn well clears. Zane Vicious says, "Woo! Power bomb through the table." Brother Monty, yo. All right, good. This is actually my two friends on Twitter X who said they would watch or watching. So listen, I brought two people to the show. That's pretty good.
Hey, yeah, at least you got some people in. So why not show some love to everybody? What up, Dice Fan? We were having some brief little chit chat about some old promos from the tribal chief himself, which that was one of my only favorite promos that I liked. That one with the Jay Uso nearly getting himself killed, and when Roman told Austin Theory that your daddy ain't here no more.
Oh, wow. They must be really old if he was the tribal chief for 3 years. So.
Well, those were a little bit more on the recent-ish side, but
I know that's like 25% of your life. I got it. What's up, Jeffrey Reimer? JC don't deserve it. JC deserves her props. And, Jasmine was trying to do her thing, and everyone else there was so mean. And I was especially disappointed in, I forget his name, but he was in the breakout tournament wearing the thick glasses. And I thought he was a heel, and he should have been signing.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, but you know how the people be.
That's right. I'm the utility. I'm the fix-it. It's like when an emergency, break glass, and here I am.
Are you basically Fix-It Flex from Wreck-It Ralph with the magic hammer?
Yes, let's go with that. I don't know what that is. I know Wreck-It Ralph is like a video game of sorts.
It's a movie.
Dr. Jeff. There we go. There's people who know me from the old days when I had my doctorate of wrestling.
Well, we're happy to see everybody spread the word, talking of everything, saying their opinions, their comments, which y'all keep going because we love reading it and seeing everything, which gives us some stuff to talk about. And speaking of things to talk about, we have our first match of the night with a brief little intro from Soul Ruca, where she's walking to the ring, discussing how she's going to win the title. I mean, after all, she was the number one on the list for the women that got put into this qualifying match tournament. And as someone said last time, because when they were with me for our mock draft, they made fun of me for having her be my number 1 overall draft pick. Look who's number 1 on the list for the people that were going to be in that women's North American Championship tournament.
What was this draft for? I mean, was it for the NXT roster? Because if that's a number 1 pick, that's a good pick for NXT. If it's for everything, it's a little bit of reach.
Well, I drafted NXT. Dice Man drafted for SmackDown, and the executive consultant drafted for Raw. Okay. Now, can you guess which one of the two made that very lovely comment?
Well, that would be the executive consultant.
Ding, 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 you are correct. So we had Ruca.
Dice would not be mean to a lady. Actually, Dice is generally not mean.
Not with curly hair, he wouldn't.
Is that right? So it's sort of like killing Eve. He
said it before, not me.
It's sort of like killing Eve, where like she's in love with the hair.
Probably. Anybody with curly hair, I'm guessing.
All right. I'll raise your Wreck-It Ralph with a killing Eve. I guess we're even. But
yes,
but what you forgot to mention is that the new megastar, my favorite, Kiana James, was there to give encouraging words to her prodigy, her friend, one Izzi Dame, who I have no idea what she's going to do without Kiana.
Let me put it to you this way. I don't think Izzi knew what she was supposed to do before she got put with Kiana. She was just put there to be her minion in training, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Or Diesel.
Well, I was saying more like a pull of Athena with
Billy Starks?
Yes. That's what it reminded me of.
But she's too big for that.
Except Billy has more character versus Izzi. Izzy's just literally a 6 foot tall wrestler woman.
Yeah.
A generic wrestler.
I've met Billy Starks. She's a nice girl, but and she's like 19. But
yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen her wrestle live too. I was enjoying.
But actually, I interviewed her for Unpopular Review like 3.5 years ago, when she was still a minor. Like her mother had to be involved. Anyway, I mean, Izzi Dame she's a bodyguard type, and and she'll develop. Listen, plenty of bodyguard types have developed. Big Bubba Rogers turned into the Boss Man. Sid and Diesel. I mean, Kevin Nash. Mr. Hughes not so much, but a lot of bodyguards. 3 out of 4 that I can think of, 75% are basically Hall of Famers.
Damian Priest, Sheamus, LA Knight, Johnny Gargano.
Deacon Batista was sort of a bodyguard, so for a short period of time. So yeah, the bodyguard thing has a pretty good record. I don't know what's next for Izzi Dame going forward, but I know what happened to her this show was a soul snatcher out of nowhere, stealing the page out of Randy Orton's book, Soul Ruca. She being kicked around.
She also beat her with the Soul Smasher.
Right, out of nowhere. Like it looked like she was in the corner, and she pulled that thing out of nowhere and got the pinfall. That was amazing. Soul Ruca is someone who, when she first came up, was really stiff and wasn't really sure. You could tell she had some personality, and the Surfer Girl thing seemed sort of played out, but she got that finisher, and now she can do it from anywhere. It's amazing. I mean, the NIL program has worked exceptionally well for women. It's worked better for women than men. I don't know why. I'm hoping that there's going to be a catch up, not because I'm in favor of the men, but because the women's division and the women coming out of NXT are so much better than the men, the American men. I mean, the people from NXT UK and Europe, they've all been sort of on the right plane, and Japan as well. So it's the men who have to step it up.
Yes, indeed, they do, especially with some of the matches from earlier in the 2010s from NXT that definitely have put the women on the map.
If I had your sleeve things, I would have full sleeves.
Well, you just got to find somewhere where you can buy them. This just came with the dress. And if we were on the entertainment side reviewing Euphoria, I would be wearing that dress, and most people would know why.
Yeah, I'm not doing that show for Euphoria. I'm sure the dress is lovely, but
no, I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm saying if we were to do that on the entertainment side, and if I were part of the review show,
I tried to watch Euphoria twice. I couldn't get to it. I mean, someone's always crying, someone's always banging on the door, and someone's always getting kicked out of their house. That's all I saw. I'm like, I don't care.
Well, they just try to make it more realistic versus what a lot of TV shows would be. Some people feel like
I was just
Two.
waiting for Michael Myers to break in and stab everyone, and that never happened.
Well, we'll just see. I don't know if the program would ever review that show, but we'll just see how things go. It's not a big deal for me if I weren't to review it. So
UPR After Dark.
Well, there's that. But anyways, after the great match that we had in the talents of Sol Ruca and some good showing from Miss Izzi Dame, which I will not say she can't wrestle, I will give her a bit of some flowers since Kiana James is not there to do it for her, even though she did put out some words of encouragement saying that that's her girl and all that stuff. Afterwards, we see Ava Raine with the D'Angelo family in her office saying they have answers for all the questions about interfering with the Revs or where Damon Kemp and Miles Bourne are.
Like anybody cares.
Listen, the No Quarter Catch crew, other than Miles Bourne, they bore me.
Mm-hmm. Including Miles Bourne, they bore me, but I understand what you're saying.
Well, I prefer Miles. I've seen all of them wrestle in person. I prefer Miles Bourne from the get-go. But after that happened, Ava finds them $20,000. Now, for some people, you got to wait a while because you got to get the money. And so they put you off TV for a bit. Y'all need to remember, this is the family. They got the money. So Adriana Rizzo pulls an envelope of cash out of her pocket behind her back. She pulls up the fine and says, and then some, with Tony D telling her to make her office a little nicer and make sure that everything goes right tonight. And that's that.
That was good. I actually wish that they had that somehow they knew exactly what the fine was going to be and there wasn't anything extra. I think that would have been funnier. But no, that was good. It was a good segment. And listen, let me say, probably 6 months to a year ago, somewhere in that, I was panning Ava. I'm like saying this girl has no charisma. She's a complete zero. She has gotten more comfortable. She has really grown into that character, and she's doing a great job. So very happy to see developmental working. You know, I don't know if she ever would have been a wrestler or not, but they put her in something. You want to call it nepotism? So what? This has always been a family business, and it's The Rock's daughter. If the Rock wanted you to give his relative a job, you would too. So anyway, she's doing great. It didn't start out that way.
She's getting better. She's getting better. I will say that she's a better GM than she was a wrestler.
Sure
in
is.
The 2 to 3 live shows that we saw her in, and then the few house shows that she was a part of, which, as most people know, they go throughout Florida. So not everybody in the performance center is going to see exactly the progress some of people make in these house shows because they ain't going to go to those because you got to pay money for those.
Yeah,
and you go to the performance center, it's free.
Yeah, you got to go to these secondary cities in Florida.
Oh, nothing too horrible about that. Just depends which secondary city it is. Anyway, we have the Idris Enofe and Malik Blade chatting backstage, with Idris being obsessed about a rabbit's foot and Malik trying to get him to calm the heck down. And eventually decides to take in some points tonight, with Brindley Reese showing up saying they don't need no luck. They got her.
Yeah,
and then
she's bad luck. And talking about calming down, she's the most excitable woman there is. She's crazy. You know, she's like the Energizer Bunny. They already have Thea Hale. We don't need T-Move Thea Hale.
We also have Carly Bright, who is a ray of sunshine.
Yeah, terrific.
We made her debut tonight.
I remember. We needed her like a hole in the head. I have a feeling that maybe there's something wrong with Gigi Dolan and a few other people may not be exactly ready to go.
Well, we'll just see what happens. So we had Out in the Mud go make their quick entrance and then cut to the commercial, which after that, you got Lola Vice and Shayna Baszler being interviewed, and they're talking about their shared interest in seeing who gets to challenge Roxanne for that belt when they get blindsided by Carmen Petrovic and Natalia, which we all know it's going to eventually lead up to a tag match either next week or the following week or sometime in the future, or maybe they'll have a few matches and before we know it, we get a no DQ or a street fight or a steel cage match with weapons on it at this point.
They did say next week. I mean, they challenged them next week. So, I mean, I don't know if it was formally announced or not, but I mean, you can probably write it.
They usually formally announce the matches around the end of the show before the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey says he wants to see Sol, Ruca, and Randy in a mixed tag team. You know where you can do that? On WWE 2K24.
There you go. That's an excellent suggestion. So, Jeffrey, you can do it, just not now, because you're busy watching us.
Well, besides that, and the fact that they don't really do too many mixed tag matches anymore.
Nor should they.
Well, I don't mind it. I think it's kind of fun seeing that with some of the teams they've put together. But anyways, after that lovely moment in the back, we get Idris Enofe and Malik Blade going up against Out the Mud, which I am okay with this match. I don't care too much for Out the Mud, although I like looking at Jada Parker. I just think Malik and Idris need to be treated with more respect as far as in the tag team division. Those two have been together as a team for the last 2 years and have been nothing but jobbers. Singles and as a tag team, give them their flowers and give them a chance to fight for those tag belts. And maybe have them be the one to take it off of Axiom and Nathan Frazier.
Listen, they've had chance after chance after chance, and they lose. And Brindley is annoying. And I will say one thing about Idris and Malik. Malik started out as a string bean, and he's thickening up a little bit. Idris didn't start out as a string bean, but he's thickening up. He's getting wider. You can see that lat spread. However, they're still 205 and 212, whereas Out of the Mud are two full-grown ass men. These guys are 260, 270. Remind me of the old school tag teams that I like. They're already better than AOP. I thought they were going to do the same move. Thankfully, they didn't. But this was an entertaining match, and it was a lot of back and forth. I don't know what's going on with this rabbit foot. Maybe it's more of a monkey's paw. I'm not sure. But listen, I like Out of the Mud. I didn't like scripts. I like Jada. I like Jada without them. They didn't need scripts. Nobody needs scripts. Script stinks. And this is all good. So I'm happy. The right team won. There's a lot more upside for Out of the Mud, and Malik and Idris. Yeah, they're going to be mostly jobbers. That's what they are. They're a low card team, but they're good enough that they should always be employed. And just like Mike Sharp, when they said you're a jobber, he said, yeah, that means I have a job. So nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I have nothing against Out of the Mud. I just feel like even though they're trying to be hard, I'm still a little bit bored by as far as like their promo work and such. But they're doing what they need to do, so I'm not saying that them winning was a bad decision. I'm just saying I just want more respect put on Malik Blade and Idris Enofe. Even if they are the Cruiserweight 205 Live type people.
Well, they just got it from you, and you just showed them love and respect. So they should be very happy. Good night, Charmaine. Nice to see you.
We love you, Charmaine.
Is it Jenny birthday again? It's always Jenny's birthday.
Well, there's always a lot happening with her, so.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Life's more exciting that way.
Indeed it is. So we get a quick hype reel for WrestleMania 41 next year happening in the lovely city of Las Vegas, which, who knows, maybe some of us from UPR will be over there. So we'll see what happens.
I hear some of you are.
Well, some of us might not be able to go. It just depends on how things look financially and all that fun stuff.
I can tell you who's not going. Me, because I don't want to.
That is understandable. Not everybody will want to go. Vegas is already too crazy enough as it is.
That's right. I don't need to be with 100,000 of my nearest and dearest.
That's fair. So we get Axiom and Nathan Frazier chatting up with Rich Holland backstage about Chase U when the Good Brothers roll up, asking why the champs are ducking him.
That was the Good Brothers? All I saw was John Boehner with a terrible spray tan. What the hell was going on with Carl Anderson? He looked ridiculous.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to who puts whatever wardrobe with some of these people. I don't pay attention anymore.
Looks like he fell asleep in the tanning booth for 3 days.
Well, it is in Florida.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Florida is a natural tanning bed.
These two guys, people keep telling me how great they were in Japan. I've seen them for 10 years plus, and neither one of them has ever even been remotely interesting.
Well, that's why they were with AJ, because AJ made them interesting, at least in WWE.
which is saying something because AJ isn't that interesting. He's just really good. But no, they're shits, and they're having this battle with Ridge Holland about people from the main roster being at NXT. What?
Look who's talking, hypocrites.
Exactly. They've got this kind of amnesia where they think that they're like NXT originals. They're like 56 years old.
And newsflash, some of those people that come from the main roster come down to help these younger talents look good in the ring. And to refresh people's memory of how good some of these people are, even if they're not familiar with their work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sean Spears is there, but he's doing more producing apparently. But yeah, I mean, it's part of an indictment on the men on NXT that they haven't been stepping up. But luckily enough, they have a bloated roster on the main roster, and people who aren't really don't have their shot or their partner is injured or whatever, so they come down and they fill a role. But I don't know. I think with Out of the Mud and Obafemi and Wesley back, and then some of the others, that things are actually looking real bright on the men's side in NXT. I'm pretty pumped about it.
Yeah, there's some hope. Just like my hopes were happy when we finally got a mid card for the women, so they had something else to fight for besides the women's championship belt, since they got rid of the tag belts down there, which are apparently still cursed.
Yeah, I'm so glad about that, but I wish they would split those tag team belts and give the women's tag team have an NXT women's tag team title again, so that they have something to fight for, but also so they develop tag teams. Because if you're going to have a main roster tag team division, you need to develop good tag teams instead of just moshing people together.
Yeah, they still seem to think that that's still a good idea. Anyway, speaking of things they thought was a good idea, having Ivy Nile go up against Lash Legend in a NXT Women's North American Championship qualifying ladder match for the ladder match at Battleground.
It was a good idea for Lash.
When I saw that match, I already knew it was going to happen. And not a good way.
Well, usually when the main roster people go down there, they win a couple of matches, to sort of keep the bigger matches there. But Ivy Nile, I think, is more of a player coach anyway. Anyway, Lash is in an important story with Trick Williams.
So that's fine. I get that. That was a part of why she won.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at that decision either.
You shouldn't be. Lash is a potential star. Listen, I like Ivy Nile a lot, but
as do I. But you said it. Lash is a potential star. She's got the look. She's got the strength. She's definitely a muscle powerhouse type wrestler character, especially and the personality, especially before when she did her Lash Legend TV show. Bits.
I hated that, but everything else she did was gold. When she was Pretty Deadly, all of a sudden they were great. Where are they now? With the metaphor, she made that thing work. I mean, everything about the metaphor I shouldn't like, and they put Lash and Jakara there, and all of a sudden the whole thing worked for me. I even cared about the Heritage Cup for however months he had it.
You mean up until tonight?
Well, up until he originally lost it to whoever the No Quarter Catch crew decided. Them and the
Charlie Dempsey.
Charlie Dempsey, the New Catch Republic. All of them with this catch phrase in there. All of them can go in.
Listen, the only reason the No Quarter Catch crew even have that stupid ass name anyway, it's because they can't use the Blackpool Combat Club name because it's AEW property.
Well, what's so great about that name? I mean, come on.
Well, maybe they also wanted to have that used because of who Charlie Dempsey's father is, who's back in the company.
So why can't they do the Liverpool Combat Club?
Do not know, and I don't know who came up with that name. Listen, if I were working backstage and creative, I would have come up with a much better name than the No Quarter Catch crew.
I mean, AEW doesn't own any IP. The wrestlers own most of the IP. They own AEW, Dynamite, and a few other things. A few other names. But the Chris Jericho's he's trying to trademark something every other week.
Yeah. Don't remind me about Jericho holding that belt and having the learning tree. Like, what?
Speaking of trees, look behind me in the Garden of Doom.
Your tree of doom looks better than whatever tree that Jericho's trying to grow PBS style.
Well, that's because I have a skeleton watching it with Merkaba and Apple of Knowledge.
I would say that skeleton is what's going to be left of Jericho's career in the next few years if he keeps up this learning tree bullshit up. Anyways, well, that's a quarter for the swear jar.
A quarter. What is this, 1958? Come on.
Yes.
Should be up to $5 at this point. Anyway.
Listen, I'm being a little more old-fashioned with this. So quickly, Javon's interview backstage. He denies that he attacked Noam Dar. Quick commercial break. After that, we get Carly Bright asking for a match against Ava Raine against Willow Vice tonight. Ava Raine acknowledges that she came in at number 13 on the Combine and gives her the match later tonight. And then after all that's over, we get Javon Evans versus...
Hold on, don't skip what we saw, the important part. We see someone creeping through the drapes, through the blinds, and it's Tatum Paxley. She's done stalking on Lyra, now she's stalking on Ava. Or is it Carly Bright? I don't know, it's hard to tell.
Listen, she normally stalks the people who have the championship belt. She can't stalk Roxanne because Roxanne will whoop her ass to the moon and back.
Well, she already did, but yeah.
Again.
If X is to be believed, she's stalking Ava.
Well, who else could put her in a championship match with Roxanne Perez for that belt?
I don't know. Who else indeed?
I'm drinking lemonade.
It's a Blackpool mule. It's none of your business.
Yeah, I only drink alcohol this late if I were not going anywhere tomorrow. But anyways, like I said, we have Javon Evans against the established punching bag of the metaphor in Oro Mensah, which pisses me off to no end. Here's another one. Because this man in Oro Mensah is talented. Nothing against Javon Evans. He's a young kid. He's very talented. He's very fast, very agile, like a lot of these younger ones are. However, I cannot stand Oro Mensah being the punching bag, the jobber of the metaphor. Every time Noam Dar gets his ass beat by somebody outside or is always unable to compete. Like I keep saying, the 5-man ladder match for the North American Championship that he was part of, he was one of my favorites in that match, who I didn't pick to win because I picked Wesley. Everybody knows that in this group that I love Wesley. But he needs to stop getting buried, or I'm going to fight somebody because I'm getting sick and tired of seeing this man get buried.
All right. Well, I hope it's not me, but I don't really care about Oral Menzies. And, but he looked a little bit vicious in this. He was throwing some haymakers in this match, but, they've got a mini rocket on Javon Williams, who I believe used to go by Jay Malachi, and it's only 20 years old.
He used to be Jay Malachi in the indie scene, so.
Yeah. He's also a bit of a string bean, but he's only 20. And listen, Trick Williams came in as a string bean too, and look at him now.
Now he's the new champ.
Yeah, and he's buff, and he's got Lash. Maybe not. We're not sure.
Mensah's the JD of the group. Oh my God, Jeffrey!
He's a Juris Doctor?
No.
I know he means JD McDonough. I get it.
Listen, I prefer Oro Mensah over JD McDonough, even though I have seen JD wrestle in person at the performance.
You've seen everyone wrestle in person, we know.
Not everybody.
Pretty much.
I've seen some people. I didn't go every week.
Okay, you didn't see Big Van Vader wrestle in person. I did, but that was a long time ago.
So after all that fun happens with Javon Evans beating Oro Mensah, we get Charlie Dempsey being interviewed backstage. He says Damon Kemp and Miles Bourne are on their way, but they got beat up, and he's going to beat Tony D'Angelo within an inch of his life, which is funny how he says that when Tony D is the one that's got the mobster character vibe going on, not you, Charlie.
A little bit out there. A little bit of role reversal. What was Kelly Kincaid wearing? Not a flattering outfit.
Listen, I don't know what these stylists are exactly taking in their free time as far as something possibly recreational or alcohol related, but it's messing with their minds because some of these people look downright ridiculous.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's okay if they have like an eccentric personality or character, like the Kabuki Warriors.
Sure.
And they dress a little eccentric-ish from time to time, but it's okay.
I get it.
We get it with them. With people like Kelly, it doesn't make sense.
No.
It's like if we were to put I don't know, Tiffany Stratton in something that they would put the Kabuki Warriors in. It wouldn't make any sense.
It's like if we switched outfits, it would look stupid.
Yeah.
Mostly on my part.
No comment.
You don't need to. It's okay. I'm pretty comfortable with my statement.
Okay. Anyways, speaking of statements being made, we get Wes Lee making his entrance and getting on the mic, which you look very annoyed.
Me? No, I mean, I like Wesley. I really do. I mean,
nice to have a co-host that's not going to insult him, but
no, I like him quite a bit. Actually, if he didn't get injured and if Dragon Lee didn't sort of slide into that spot, I really thought that Wes Lee was the natural successor to Rey Mysterio, except not being a luchador, but it's the same style. But where's Dragon Lee now? Anyway, but you know, he got
Rey Mysterio.
Right. Well, but we haven't seen Dragon Lee. He got beat up by Carlito, who almost killed himself last night on Raw. But anyway, but he gets overshadowed by Obafemi, who comes in. First of all, the man's huge. Second of all, his facial expressions are amazing. Second of all, he looked like $1 million. He sounded like $1 million. And then when they try to do the fatal four-way thing, he's like, no. That's why
you three fight it out.
Yeah, he's like, you guys fight. I'm thinking in my head, God, I hate wrestling. Like if a smart guy go, no, you guys triple threaded and then I'll fight the winner. And that's exactly what it did. So I tweeted all that and brains too. This guy is not the future. He is the now. So I am all in Obafemi, but I like Josh Briggs a lot. I like Wesley. Ivar, Ivar, maybe he shouldn't have stopped with the spinal surgeon. Maybe he should have gone with the gastric bypass. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know what to say in regards about Ivar, but everybody in this show, in the chat, I know
one thing to say about Ivar. He's the one eating the pen in this match. So that's one thing to say about him.
Well, I was also about to say that everybody and their mom already knows how much I love Wesley, as seen on my Instagram profile picture that I will not be taking down unless like they picked with somebody better.
I deleted Instagram off my phone, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
My profile picture is new with Wesley.
That sounds great. I wish you kids the best of luck.
I'm not with him. He has a wife. I would never. I am not.
Sounds like a his wife problem to me.
I would never try to step in on a man's marriage like that. I would never. But he did say. But Wesley did talk about how much he loves NXT, how much the North American Championship means to him, losing him sent him on a spiral to contemplate whether his career is over after the injury, which seeing him talk about that too was very upsetting. We were expecting him to be gone for a year. He is back after 4 or 5 months. Like I say, a la John Cena 2008 Royal Rumble return. And like you said, Obafemi came in. They had their standoff moment. Josh Briggs came in. Ivar came in. And then we got a triple threat match set up for them three to determine who the winner will fight Obafemi for that belt.
Or did we? This is a cliffhanger towards the end, but we'll make the audience.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, dun dun dun. But yeah, smart on Obafemi, look good, sound good, everything was great. I love the cadence of his voice, everything, and people like he should take a break so the audience can go, ooh. No, he should talk the way he wants. And one of the things that's great about a wrestler is they should know when to react to the audience and when not to react to the audience. And when he's cutting his promo and he's got his rhythm, don't react to the audience because that'll screw him up. And so if he can tune it out, that's better. If he needs it to get over when he's a face, then you let the audience do whatever. Or if you're doing Kurt Angle, you suck. But right now he's trying to establish that he's the man. Everything else is background noise to him. It's just rolling thunder in the background. He's not worried about any of that. He's a mountain among men.
Not the slight iteration of Braun Strowman's former tagline of being a mountain of men. But like you were saying in regards to Femi and basically canceling out the noise from the crowd, I was discussing this with someone earlier today in regards to a match that someone was having at a show. I wasn't able to go, but they were there because they were working it. Someone was having a match. They were the babyface. They went up against someone else. And the problem with that person is they were focusing too much on seeing their family and friends in the audience and reacting to them, as opposed to paying attention to what was happening in the match. And the match didn't end so well that the bad guy knocked him out. to the point where when he woke up, he said, "I don't remember how I got to the locker room." Like, just because your friends and family are in the audience doesn't mean you have to cater to them. Remember, you're giving the people that paid, as well as your friends and family, a good show. Don't pay attention to what everybody's saying unless you're trying to hype them up or get the people behind the baby face if you're the heel. You got to focus on what you're doing, not on what the people are saying, unless you're trying to play off of them or if you're trying to make the other person like you get behind them.
I agree with everything you just said. I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, listen, we saw Jade Cargill get distracted by her child when she was wrestling with AEW, and also she was supposed to play the heel. She was worried about her baby crying, and she was a mom, and she was looked like the
That's
face.
one of the exceptions I will give to that rule as far as like staying in character, because there are a few that have done that every now and then.
Yeah, but don't have your baby at ringside then. If you're the heel, I mean, it's just I'm just saying, don't do it. Anyway, so what else we got?
Well, we real quickly had Lexis King being full of himself like he always is, even though he can't wrestle that great in the ring for shit. Trying to chat up some of the girls. Jasmine Nix comes up trying to get the whole roster to sign a get well soon card for JC Jane, which we need to remind everybody. JC Jane is one of the least liked women in the NXT roster right now. So who in the hell was going to sign that? Who was going to sign that card except for Jasmine Nix?
Half of the locker room should have signed that card.
But they don't like her. So they were going to do shit for her.
The heel
listen, if I were there and if they were like a thing where they were paying out to someone else, I would have signed that card for her. I've been a JC Jane fan during her Toxic Attraction days because I've most of the time have rooted for people that aren't paid attention too much in faction sometimes, or ones that people look at as the underdog. And back when Toxic Attraction was still a thing, of course, everybody focused on Mandy because she was the star. People focused on Gigi Dolan because she had the body and the look. But people forget JC Jane was the voice of Toxic Attraction and can cut a promo. Look at the levels of where Gigi Dolan and JC Jane are now. Even though JC Jane is injured from getting hit in the nose, she's still getting more attention now versus Gigi Dolan with Ariana Grace, which she now left because she couldn't take her and Chelsea being all kiss sassy last week.
See, this would have been a good opportunity for Ariana Grace to have forced Georgina to sign that card to show her grace towards her former enemy and that she's teaching her etiquette. So,
are you kidding? If that were to happen, she would have ripped that card right in front of Jasmine Nix's face, and I would have been all for it.
No, she has to. Georgina must listen to Ariana and learn what Ariana is teaching her. She's got to smell what the Ariana is cooking.
She ain't gonna be smelling what Santina Morella's niece will be cooking in that moment.
All right. Well, Lexis King signed it to Jackie anyway.
Of course he would, because he doesn't care to pay attention to any of the girls' names because he's that full of himself. Anyways, after all that, we get a quick little squash match with the Good Brothers going up against Ridge Holland and Riley Osborne after Ridge somehow manages to convince some of the members of Chase U to go in for a tag match because he's trying to get their trust so he can join them, which I wouldn't be able to trust Ridge Holland as far as I could throw him. And I can't throw any of these people.
And I wouldn't want to be hanging out with Chase U anyway, but I mean, for a match where 3 out of 4 of them were from the main roster, this was the most developmental match I've seen. The finisher was awful. I don't know what the hell Ridge was doing and Riley was supposed to, or what Gallows was supposed to. I guess he was supposed to get out of the way last minute, but he got out of the way like 7 seconds before Riley Osborne did it. And of course, Riley Osborne being a rookie doesn't know what to do, so he just finishes the spot, and the whole thing looks stupid. And the Good Brothers won, which is, I mean, I'm always against that. So, what can I say?
What exactly was this supposed to do for them? What storyline do they have down there other than trying to fight for those tag belts? Which, even if they go up against Nathan Frazier and Axiom, there's a low chance that they're going to be the ones to take the belts away anyways.
Yeah, I'm not I wasn't a big fan of Nathan Frazier and Axiom taking the belts off the Wolf Dogs anyway. I can't believe in any circumstance those two guys can beat Braun and Corbin. Sorry, just not having it.
Listen, we've had a bunch of matches like that over the years where somebody.
Yeah. She froze on
someone else. We just can't believe it because we don't think it'd ever be possible. But
let's go into some of the
comments. But after let's get into some of these comments.
Bad guy Jack.
But why did Andre just throw Osborne into this match? Listen, we don't know why he did that. I don't know. Would you rather have had Andre Chase? Would you rather have Andre Chase go in the ring with him?
He thinks Andre Chase threw it. He thinks he bet on it. He thinks that he threw it on purpose. It's Andre's betting. Andre screwed Ridge and Riley. It's back to his gambling ways. His whole one day at a time.
Well, he better not be if he wants to keep whatever Chase U thing going on still.
Well, they sold calendars. They're all good. They're in the black now.
Well, I mean, what can we do?
Nothing.
But speaking of things that we can't do nothing about, we had Carly Bright go up against Lola Vice after getting this match from Ava Raine.
Hated this match.
Which, I mean, it was fine, but
way too
I'm
much.
not going to say it was a great match, but I'm not going to.
Lola Vice should have killed her. This should have been a murder.
I mean, if she's getting some tutelage from Shayna Baszler, she should have literally killed her. She should have put her in a submission.
Right. I don't mind the face coming out strong and getting a few hope spots, but she should have walked straight into that spin around kick to the head and just knocked her head off. I understand the spot was all about Carla Petrovic and Natty coming out, but I mean, Carla Petrovic is fine. She's good. Natty, I mean, I no interest. I mean, I understand that Natty's the gatekeeper, so like she's evaluating Carmen Petrovic, but they just did the call-ups. And I get that Shayna's doing the same for Lola and schooling her along too, because they see a lot in Lola, rightfully so. I don't understand why they released Xia Li if they're trying to invest in the same thing Carla Petrovic. I mean, at least put them together. But
I mean, it's a slightly similar gimmick, but it's not 100% the same.
Well, neither one of them can ever use their
decision to. Well, I was about to say it wasn't our choice to get Xia Li out of the picture. I personally would have brought her back down to NXT or something.
Yeah, me too. I would have teamed her with
like some of these people that they let go. Like, why not bring them back down to the developmental to make these young talents look good and help them get better with their experience?
I have a theory on that, and it's just a theory, but I think it's that they were told by no uncertain terms by their people in Endeavor who have contacts in China that, no, you're not getting TV in China. They're like, okay, well, we're done with this then.
Is that the same reason why they got rid of Jinder Mahal?
No, Jinder Mahal, they just got rid of because he wasn't worth it. I mean, at this point, he's probably making $800,000-$900,000. What's he do? Nothing. And Veer never looked like the bad. They tried to portray him as a monster, and he's not a monster. And Sangha, who I think
also, I was about to say, I think what also hurt him too was them announcing that he was coming to Raw. Coming to Raw.
Mm-hmm.
When is he coming?
Right.
None of y'all are gonna know, and we're gonna make him look strong. Too bad we failed.
They basically wardload him. They never knew what to do with him. They'd have him coming. He'd squash a couple of nobodies and then do nothing.
Yeah, basically. And then we got our main event of the night with Charlie Dempsey versus Tony D for the NXT Heritage Cup. How do you feel about how they have the matches for the Heritage Cup? Because every time I talk about it with Ron, he can't get into because he can't get into the rules, that it's a confusing way to have a match, be like 3 minute rounds, 20-second breaks. that you can lose via pinfall or or submission and DQs. How do you feel about the matches they have for the NXT Heritage Cup?
I don't think it's the rules that are confusing. I just don't like the format. I think rounds in wrestling just doesn't work ever. It's very much like the Ring of Honor pure rules, and it just feels very British, stodgy, and I don't know. That doesn't translate for me. I just find it dull. Now, it worked with metaphor because you had three characters running around causing chaos all the time, and there was always something to look at and something to hear, and there was always purpose in their movements. And Noam Dar is a character in and of himself, and somehow they managed to make it work. And then, of course, you had whoever the face was doing their thing. So as long as they were halfway decent, it was entertaining. But it was because of the cast and crew. I mean, Charlie Dempsey, not interesting. His little friends are not interesting either, but they weren't even there until the end, until there was a little Donnybrook. So I'm with Ron on this one. I mean, I haven't, like I said, I was never invested into metaphor, and that took me by surprise because Noam Dar is what, like 5'5" and 103 pounds, and that's exactly what I usually don't like. But he was hysterical, and the whole thing worked. I mean, you got Lash, Jakara. It even made Aura work. I know you like Aura, but I'm not. Magenta hair just doesn't work for me. I don't know. But I don't like it. But listen, I'm glad that D'Angelo has it because I like D'Angelo to have something. I wish he had some goons that looked like goons, like Nick Camarado and Cesar Bononi, just like some big palookas that could lose some matches. I mean, that's something that he's washed now, but something you could do with like Wardlow. He could be a D'Angelo family goon. He can't now because he's too recognizable. But anyway, they don't like it. But let's see what Tony and the family have, because they have a cast of characters too. They're not so interesting, but maybe they'll find a way to be interesting.
I'm not gonna say they're gonna be like super as interesting as the Metaphor doing it, because even though I couldn't stand Noam Dar being the champion, because every damn time always had to have the Metaphor interfere some way somehow, and especially the first time he lost it when he let into his state of Delulu, where they had to give him a fake cup to where he felt like he could fight again. Which, by the way, the man's 5'9" and weighs 178 pounds, but
there's no way he's 5'9".
Regardless, we'll see what the family can do. They'll probably have it like the cup like in an office type setting. Like have it be like if they have promos, like if they were trying to cut some deals for people to try to get a shot at the cup. People try to steal it out of the office and then they fight them off. I don't know, just something with it. I feel like they could do something with that.
Sure.
Let's just hope they don't do something a la Scarface with the horse head in the bed full of blood.
Yeah, well, let's hope for that. But maybe they can do like a ceremony in that restaurant that he owns, that they're always at. One of the places where he collects rent.
Look at me with my mobster references that Izzi would say.
Well, Izzi would just say "good grief" because he's like Charlie Brown.
Well, we'll just see where things go.
Yeah, well, Tony D with the Heritage Cup. He's sort of a face, sort of a heel. It's sort of hard to say.
We will just see what happens.
And as the show goes off the air, we
would say he's more like the anti-hero, like not directly a face, but not directly a heel either.
I'm going to go with just a tweener. I don't think the anti-hero has like a little crew of mobsters with him.
Well, more like on that kind of thing where it's not like he's not a face, but he's not a heel. I know it's called a tweener, but I just prefer to say anti-hero because it sounds better versus saying a tweener, even though I know that's what it is.
But I think an anti-hero is something different. But we don't need to get into that at the moment. I mean, I think like Stone Cold Steve Austin was an anti-hero.
Basically, like that.
Yeah, he was bucking the authority. I don't think Tony D'Angelo is bucking the authority. I think he's just his own kind of authority.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't need to be in charge, but he can still run things, just not run the entire NXT roster, so to speak. He can run things his way on his own terms.
Okay. Whatever he wants to do. Yeah, we'll see. If he can make this cup interesting, then he's done his job well. That's all I can say about that, because that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold Jeff Dose says so. Speaking of Stone Cold, Gallus boys beat up all of the contenders in this North American title match. You see them all down in the back. with poles and metal things, clobbered on them. And Ivar's laid out, Briggs is laid out, Wesley's laid out. And then we see the Gallus boys. One of them oiled their mustache up like a old-timey villain, like the vaudevillain. The other one got a haircut, and they're back from training The Rock, and I guess this is their thank you. But I don't know. This seems like, does it mess up the triple threat? Does it lead to a 6-man match where the triple threat people have to see if they can coexist to defeat the Gallus boys? I mean, is it now a fatal 6-way or whatever that would be called? I mean, what's up? What's going on here?
Well, I'm just going to say I hope it doesn't lead to a predictable 3-on-3 match, because those can get real old real fast. But they'll probably throw them in the mix some way, somehow, because they'll be like, they came down from the main roster. We brought them down. Might as well have them do something instead of just sitting around and catering all the damn time, even though that's what they do up in the main roster, since there's nothing for them to do.
Are they on the main roster? I never heard they got called up.
They still are on the main roster, yes. They got drafted.
I didn't know they ever
the
were.
The OC got drafted. They're drafted on SmackDown.
I'm talking about the Gallus boys, not the OC. The Gallus boys are the ones who attacked the North American champion contenders.
Oh, yeah, right. I forgot how boring they are. Yeah, no, they're hanging around and catering in NXT because they have nothing better to do, because they're boring as hell. Nobody likes them. Nobody paid attention to them when they were champions. Nobody paid attention to them before they became champion or after or anything and anywhere in between.
Yeah, the dullest.
They could get let go.
Yeah, the dullest use of the Freeburg rule. But they won't, because they're the ones who trained The Rock. So, so they've got a lot of goodwill with the company.
Of course they do. But on that note, that is all the insanity we had from NXT.
Oh my goodness, Jeffrey, you're onto something there. I think he faked it himself, and I hope that NXT Confidential, was on the job.
Everybody and their mama forgot about Gallus because they're that boring.
Yeah.
Hi, Jennifer. And yes, he did.
He did indeed. He is now the Heritage Cup. He's bringing it back to England, to the old family. He should totally fly to Sicily.
Don't you mean to Italy?
Yes, he should. Well, Sicily is part of Italy, but he should fly to the old country and go to Sicily and visit like these old towns, like in Godfather 1 when Michael Corleone's hiding out, and go there and show when the Heritage Cup he's got. Yeah, skits like that.
Well, it does get like that. Well, anyways, that is our show for the night. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to watch us talk about all things NXT with my companion for the night in Evil Dose. If there's any way people can reach you on social media or see any other projects you have here, go ahead and let them know.
Well, behind you see the logo for Garden of Doom. You can find that wherever fine podcasts are. And if you get Garden of Doom, you get Garden Views for free with it, which is also free. Hammerlock Hangover with, sometimes Bad Guy Jack is the co-host there. Other times Big Daddy Cool Steve Payne, and sometimes the two of them. I'm also on the Raw Review Show for this very network. Once a month that we do Garden of the Superior on Unpopular Review Entertainment with See the Superior. We have one episode on Freya. You can either catch it on Unpopular Review Entertainment if you want to watch it. It's also available in audio form on the Garden of Doom feed as well. And the Lip Men on the UFL. That's Monday nights on the Sports Cat Network, also on the Fuel Sports Network and Yerg's Radio. I think that's, and I'm occasionally in other places too, but yeah, it doesn't matter. If you want to follow me on Twitter at IcarusFellMD or Evil Dose at Garden of Doom.
And there you have it for Evil Dose. If anybody wants to find me on social media, y'all already know. YouTube channel is The Unofficial Camerawoman. Go out throughout Central Florida occasionally. Film wrestling matches here and there. Put them up online. Depending on when some of these companies talk about their matches, I put them up so that way I don't get in trouble or have to deal with stupid people, because I don't feel the need to deal with that. I have some matches that'll be coming out in the future, so be on the lookout for that. Some familiar faces in terms of talents in the independent scene that may have been on AEW, some that were used and or are currently on TNA, etc., etc. You can catch me on Instagram as well at the unofficial camera woman for that account, and for my valet account / amateur cosplay in the Stellar Sabrina with an underscore between the and Stellar. And besides that, you also have Ron's podcast, the Big Pop Theory podcast, links in the description. Make sure that you subscribe, press the notification bell so that we can be notified when we put out a video here and on the Unpopular Review Entertainment channel as well. And speaking of shows, we have the Mike Knox show on Monday nights at 6 p.m. We have the Monday Night Raw review and watch along as well. We have the NXT review shows on Tuesdays, AEW Dynamite on Wednesdays, and SmackDown reviews on Saturdays at noon or 1, depending when and who is available to come on to all our products. Collision we don't review anymore. That one was canceled, so this will get updated.
Just like real life.
Thank you, folks.
I'm kidding. It hasn't been canceled yet.
Well, I mean, with the way that not with the ratings they got now, because they had to switch to TBS because of the hockey game that got played during their normal slot time this last week.
Yeah, well, it's better than prior weeks when they just took it off entirely. They didn't put it on a different channel, a different time. They just took it on off. So we're not airing it.
Well, never know what's going on at Tony Khan's head, and frankly, I don't want to know because the man. I really don't want to know what goes on in his head sometimes.
No, that's a dangerous basement to fall into.
Yeah, I'd rather go into Randy Orton's mind versus Tony Khan. But anyways, that's our show.
Yep, that's enough headhunting. Bye, everyone.